So, first of all,
Morning,
tell us a little bit
Anna.
about these letters that you've sent to the two leadership candidates. What are you saying in that letter?
Well, we've sent a letter to both the candidates, just saying that my members are really concerned about summer, which is a bit like winter. We've got winter in summer. We have three challenges that are pretty fundamental. We have a workforce challenge, 100,000 vacancies in the NHS, 165,000 in social care. We have an estates challenge with crumbling buildings and very old equipment. And we have a social care challenge again, in that we're not recruiting or paying enough staff to get people out of hospital or into hospital, which is meaning we've got a backlog of ambulances waiting in A&E, and we can't move people into hospitals because we can't move them out of hospitals because we don't have social care packages for people once they're well enough to leave hospital. So in some cases, we've got 20% of beds taken up with people who could leave but can't leave because there is no social care packages. We have a backlog in elective care, which my colleagues are working really hard to reduce, and in fact are making some inroads, even though it's increasing. But the state of the buildings means they can't carry out the operations, and we certainly have one cases where the roof in the hospital is causing real problems for use of elective care surgery. And as I say, we have a problem with vacancies. Now, neither candidate has addressed these issues full on. And we need them to be resolved, because if we don't, we can't offer the care that people deserve and they pay for in their taxes. So we have a real problem. On top of that, we have an inflation challenge, which has wiped out the very welcome additional funds that were given to the NHS earlier. So what we need from both candidates is we need them to level with the public, basically, about what is going on, what the public can expect, and what they're going to do about these short-term, actually, medium-term and long-term crises in the NHS and social care system.
And what do you want to hear from them, apart from addressing the issue more? Is it more money that you're after?
Well, I'd like them first to acknowledge that there is a crisis, that this is really serious. 9 out of 10 of our leaders are basically saying that this is the worst they've seen it, and it's going to continue. I think, it's not for me to tell them how to manage the economy, but I do think we need to be honest with taxpayers about the fact that you get what you pay for at the end of the day, and we do need a health system which actually is a contributor to the economy. If you're waiting for an operation on your hip, your knee, your cancer treatment, you're not working. If you're not working, when you're not contributing to the economy, you're not paying taxes. So this is a significant challenge for the economy. A healthy nation is a working nation. If we're not healthy, then we can't work. So what we need is both candidates to be straight with people about the state of the NHS and the healthcare system, and actually put forward credible ways in which we can resolve the matter in the medium and long term.
The national insurance rise, which has been debated a great deal in this leadership contest, was destined. It was the money that was raised was destined for the NHS. Now, Rishi Sunak is going to keep that rise. Liz Truss has said that the country can't afford it, the people can't afford it. The cost of living crisis is too great for people to pay extra taxes. What's your take on that?
Well, I can tell you what they can't afford. We can't afford an NHS system which is crumbling and can't treat people properly, so they can't work. So we welcome the additional funds, and we would want that to continue. It's for the two candidates, whoever becomes Prime Minister, to make the difficult choices. That's why we have Prime Ministers on our behalf, to ensure that the NHS and social care system is properly funded. But what we do need is realism. We need them to be realistic with the public. It's not about political rhetoric or gimmicks. It's about saying to the public, this is the state of the NHS and social care system. This is what we're going to have to do. I've yet to meet anybody, certainly in the health or care system, who is saying, I'd rather have a lower tax and no health system. I think that's not a credible choice, and we look to our leaders to present us with solutions to these challenges. It's my job to put forward the real state of the NHS and the healthcare system on behalf of my members.
Well, yes, and if we look at the different candidates, Liz Truss has said that she will provide the funds necessary. She'll just raise them through a different means. And she's talked about measures like stripping away certain levels of management as well. What do you make of the plans that she's announced so far as the NHS is concerned?
I don't know that they're very specific or clear, and I'm not sure that they address the challenge. You know, the issue here, as I've said, is that we have 165,000 vacancies in social care. We have 100,000 vacancies in the NHS. We need a fully costed workforce plan, which actually ensures that we can employ enough people to care for your relatives, my relatives, and members of our community. They need to be very clear about how they're going to fund that. They need to be clear about what resources they're going to make available to fix our crumbling estates and on our equipment. And they need to ensure that we can pay social care workers enough so that we can find the packages of care that get people into hospital, we can get people out of hospital, so we get desperate people in need of urgent care into hospital. So I'd like specific answers to those three key questions. One of which we need to be resolved now. I mean, the social care challenge, we're simply not paying social care workers enough to do the skill jobs necessary to get people out of hospital, and so that we can actually get people in the back of ambulances. These aren't people who are dilettantes. These are people in desperate need of emergency care in hospital, and who have to wait in the back of ambulances sometimes for hours if they can get an ambulance at all, because the ambulances are rushed to the end of to the end of their capacity. So we need answers to those specific issues. That's why we've been so clear in the letters to both candidates.
And could those answers be provided by a special task force? Because that's Rishi Sunak's plan, isn't it? To introduce a task force along the lines of the COVID vaccine task force to try and address some of these issues. Do you welcome that?
Well, I'm all for task forces and specific interventions, but again, they avoid the answer. You know, we know what the answer is to the social care problem. We've said we as a membership body don't complain without presenting solutions. The answer to the social care challenge is to pay people a minimum of £10.50 an hour. That means we can actually attract people into social care or keep people in social care who are leaving to get easier jobs in, say, retail or the hospitality industry. We know that the backlog in capital building requirement just requires an injection of money. And we know that the inflationary costs that have actually reduced the amount of money available to the NHS needs an urgent injection of cash to put that right. We can do the rest. I have full confidence in my colleagues, in their leadership abilities, and in the front line of our NHS and social care system to deliver, as they did during the pandemic. What they need is the resources and the leadership to enable them to do so. So, you know, I think what we need are specific responses. I will work with whoever my members will work with, whoever becomes Prime Minister. But what we need them to be doing is to be really honest about, you know, these are the challenges. We accept what you're saying as leaders of the health and social care system. This is what we're going to do with you, with you to resolve them. And we've made suggestions. We're very clear about what needs to happen.